Welcome back to another video on my channel. This time I am going back a few weeks back to Broadside Empires Steel. If you follow the channel for any length of time, you'll know that I have several videos on these. This is a unique game that's very near and dear to my heart. Me and my wife play this game all the time, and we really enjoy it. It's I wouldn't say beer and pretzels type game, but it definitely feels like a fun game, beer and pretzel type naval game. Now, don't let this book thickness fool you. These are the army, or not the army lists, the navy lists, the fleet lists. So it's a very chunky tome. But the rule book itself is only a few, maybe 10, 12 pages long. And the reason I'm coming back to this game is, well, I never really left the game, but the reason why I'm doing another video on this game is that the guys have kindly, the creators of the game have kindly sent me some preview files of the ships for the Russian Navy to test out and see what I think of them. And I've been busily printing them off for the last few weeks and painting them. I haven't, obviously, they're not difficult ships to paint, so it hasn't taken me a great deal of time, but I've held off on this video just because I don't want to be too far out ahead of the Kickstarter, which I know is happening maybe by the time this video is posted or shortly after. I know they're gearing up for that. Now, I'm not paid by them at all. This is just a labor of love for me. I did this because I really wanted to do it, and they were very kind enough to send me the files. And I feel, obligated to tell my audience, whoever is interested, that this Kickstarter is coming. And I have had several questions, in my messages and my inbox about, where's this game? Where do I find this game? And I've directed as many people as I can to the official website, the Facebook page, to get in contact, because I do believe this game is woefully underrepresented in naval wargaming circles. Now, that's not to mean there's no one's playing it. I'm sure lots of people are, but for those of you who are interested in it, a new Kickstarter is coming out in the next few days, and I would urge you to check it out, at least. The rules are not difficult to grasp. It has all of the things that you might find in a competitive game, like army list building, a meta where, the speed versus turning angle versus armor versus firepower. It's not a grognard game, although you can take it that serious if you want. And for those reasons, I really enjoy it. Now, before I start showing off the ships, I have the German High Sea Fleet here and the Royal Navy Fleet here. Initially, my intention was to do the ships that have been released in the previous Kickstarter. I mean, the Americans, the Austro-Hungarians, and the Italians. I haven't even gotten to those yet on the channel. And I wanted to get to them before this video, but because the Kickstarter is coming out relatively soon, I thought maybe, hey, spread the good word, preach a little bit, and see if anyone's interested. So the Italians and the Austro-Hungarians and the Americans are coming. Just the Russians are coming first. And I have to say, you can really tell in the new sculpts to the old sculpts, the files, that they've learned a lot about their craft. And you'll see that in the upcoming previews when I show you off the ships, both in printed form and in painted form. But before I get to that, I wanted to show people what I have found online on STLs. You sit on your computer and you look around files online, and I've yet to find ship files like these that are, you have to, if you have a 3D printer, if you're thinking about getting a 3D printer, you really have to think about what it is you want. If you want Games Workshop style miniatures with that fine detail, you're going to need an amazing printer and a lot of know-how on how to get that to come out properly each time. If you're like me and you're just like, what the hell's a 3D printer? Can I press a button and stuff happens? Then I think that these ships are amazing for that. I have tried in previous videos, you might have seen my workbench where I've tried to 3D print some Age of Sail ships, the tall ships, and the printer that I have will do them, but I kid you not, I've probably had 10 failed prints for every success, and I haven't been able to get the the sails to print complete yet. So very frustrating. That does not or has not happened with any of the ships for this game. The files are made in such a way that I wouldn't say idiot-proof, and I am an idiot, but they're very easy to print off. There's almost no work to them. and it's been a great success. I've printed off hundreds of these ships. And speaking of printing off hundreds of these ships, I went around and I scrounged the files on the internet to find files that were just as good as these, to see how much I would have to pay for them. And I went ahead and I did some research, and I'll just bring this out here. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, move the book out of the way. I'm going to zoom in here and I'll show you something here. This is the, get out of there, book. This is the Iron Duke. Now, there's always a glare in my videos. I don't know how to get rid of that. I have to have the lights on high power down here in my basement because it's really dark. But anyway, this is the Iron Duke, and this is from the previous Kickstarter. And I've seen it, I've shown it off before, but it is a really, really nice model. I wouldn't say basic, but it's detailed enough where you get the idea that it's the Iron Duke from across the table. It takes a dry brush really nicely, and you don't really have to paint. You know, you don't have to be an A-grade painter to paint this. This is just gray primer with a watered down black wash over it, then dry brush to lighter gray, and then some details picked out like the lifeboats and stuff. You know, that's simple. That took me maybe start to finish without drying times on the primer, 40 minutes, maybe if even. So you can pump out several of these a day if you're dedicated enough, or if you just want, if you have kids like me and you get home from work at 6 o'clock in the evening and you have to have dinner and then have a shower and then you get the kid to bed and then you have maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes before you yourself have to go to bed. I can paint up a different ship, like a German ship right here. And I can feel like I got something done that day, hobby-wise. And it's really nice. They're really nice prints. Now, this is the Iron Duke that I paid for from another site. Now, I don't have them painted yet because I was just for demo purposes. Now, this Iron Duke has, you know, it's basic as well. It has the antennae there, which were hard to print off. Hold on, zoom in here. This is from another STL file I found, but I had to pay for it. This was about $8 Canadian, which would be about, I don't know, what's that, $6 US, you know, 5 Great British pounds. And I printed that off, cost me $8 Canadian, whereas the Kickstarter for this game cost me, I think it was $100 Canadian. And I got a couple of hundred ships that I can print off as many times as I want. Now, I can't print this off as many times as I want, but really I can only print off 5 of them, because there are 4 of them, however many are in the class. But just so you can see, this ship here, the official one from Broadside, it printed off first time every time. This ship I had to print off, you know, the hull printed off first time, and the turrets printed off first time, but this antenna was a son of a gun to get to come out. This was probably the 4th time I had to do this. So this ship was way more frustrating to print off than this, and I paid $8 for that. But that just gives you an idea of what they look like and what's out there. I personally prefer this one here. I don't know why. It just, you know, look at the back of it there. I mean, the detail. This one looks closer to me than this one does. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here. That's just to show you what this Kickstarter is about. I'm just going to move this so the glare doesn't get it so bad. Another thing that I thought I should probably compare these ships to is the kind of the Games Workshop of naval miniatures, and that's GHQ and their Micronauts range. Now, I'm going to show you, and I used to collect these things all the time. Oh my god, so much money spent on these ships. Here is a Russian. Now, they're extremely detailed figures, but they have all these little fiddly bits that bend. Here is the Borodino. Now, I've been painting, so don't worry, mind the stains on my fingers. Here is the unquestionable detail that is the GHQ figures. Now, it's a pain in the butt to straighten all these antenna, whatever you want to call these things, masts, but you cannot tell me that there's really a better miniature at this size out there. But this cost $18. This tiny little ship cost actually $19 Canadian. So to even if I wanted to do like the Russo-Japanese War, which had comparatively few ships in it, still a lot. You're looking at $700 just for the ships to fight that battle. Now, I could, in theory, with this STL files from Broadside Empire Steel, I could conceivably print off all the ships for Jutland, and it would only cost me the $100 I paid for the Kickstarter and the resin and my time. My time, I do it at home. I put the print on, I go in, I have a shower, I eat dinner. It's not really like I'm a mechanic and I'm changing the tires and brake pads on a car and I'm out there for 4 or 5 hours on my own time. No, I'm putting the resin in the vat and hitting the print button. So really, I don't count time as any kind of money here. But I could conceivably print off the entire fleet for the German High Seas Fleet and the Royal Navy in a couple of weeks, paint them in another few weeks, and crazily have all the ships. Now, I don't do that because I don't need that many. It's a game that works best when there's not a ton of ships. It works best, I would say, probably when there's 12 ships, maybe at most, on the table. But it can work with just 1 or 2 or 3. Now, like I said, this ship was $18, and for that you get the detail. You get the detail and the engineering and the craftsmanship. Now, here is, I'm going to spoil it, here is the same ship, but from Broadside Empire Steel upcoming Russians. This is the Slava, which is a Borodino class ship. Now, yes, the detail's a lot less, but it's not nothing. It's actually extremely good. The outline of the ship is there. The guns are there. And remember, this has to 3D print. This has to 3D print on your home printer. And when you hit the print button, you want it to print out. Now, this thing printed on my build plate like this, no problem. I could print this off 50 times if I wanted. Now, there's only one left by this time in the war, but it's still comparatively... Now, let's see here. This is... $18. Whatever. I'm not sure what the cost of this would be, but definitely not $18. In resin, it said on my print screen, which isn't always correct, but it said that this cost me 11 cents to print off. So, yes, there's the cost of the 3D printer, but if you already have one, it doesn't really mean anything to you. Yes, there's a cost of the Kickstarter, but you get way more than just one ship on the Kickstarter. So, let's say, break it all down, you're probably at maybe 70 cents. So that's the Slava for the new Kickstarter coming out soon. Now, I did go ahead and I painted that same ship. And here is it in my basic paint job. Now, there's nothing official telling me that this is the color scheme of these ships. And instead of like researching in depth for months to find out what the colors of these ships were, I just went with a basic gray and a brown hull, just to differentiate them from the Germans, the British, and here's the Russians. Just so on the table, you know who's what. So here it is. Come on, focus for me, please. Here is the Slava. You can see there. Now, this is the video for you if you want to hear people butcher names, because coming up, there is going to be some serious butchery of official names of ships. It's not like the Royal Navy where it's the Iron Duke and the Marlborough and, and the Warspite. This is even the Germans, the Gneisenau, the Scharnhorst, the Blucher. The Russians have some seriously crazy names on their ships. But look at that. What more really do you want for a gaming piece? I think it's beautiful, to be honest, and that's not me just plugging the system, although I do really like the system. I want that to come across to you guys. I do love the system. I encourage everyone to give it a go, even if it's not for them. You never know, you might really love it. But it is one of those games that me and my wife can play, and if you have a gaming partner like I do, COVID has kept us indoors for most of the last year and a bit, so we've been forced kind of to become a gaming club in our basement. This rule set is a rule set that I don't feel like I have to set the game up myself and then teach an unwilling partner to play the game. And I do see that a lot on videos where people have their wives or their girlfriends playing a game, and you're more or less playing by yourself, but they're the robot moving the piece around. You're telling them what to roll, you're telling them sometimes where to go, like what can the ship do. This rule set is easy enough for my wife to have learned it like that And I don't have to do any of those things. So that's why I really like this game, is because we can sit down for 2 hours a night on a weekend, play this game, and she's an actual opponent versus an arm that moves the miniatures around. That's how much I like the game, and she does too. It's one of her favorite games. Now, I just showed you the Slava, so I'm going to show you some others. Oh, so before I start that, actually, I'm going to show you the Slava next to, a British ship, so you can get a size. This is the Agamemnon, and maybe we'll get a German dreadnought out here. We'll get the Deutschland. Now, the Slava is a pre-dreadnought, but you can see the difference there. You can see the decking is, they're putting more stuff on the deck. There's not a little less, where you see the Agamemnon doesn't have a lot of detail on the deck, really. The Slava has a ton of detail where they're cramming it in. You can really tell they've learned from their previous Kickstarters and their previous models. And I think that's excellent. So let's start here. I would like to say that if I show you a German destroyer, here's the V-25, a very common German torpedo boat, little tiny thing. Here's a British Acasta class, not as tiny, but pretty tiny. It's wider, not as thin at the front. The Russians have some humongous destroyers, like light cruiser-sized destroyers. Here is the Grom from the Russians. Look at the size of this thing. See if I can zoom in here a little bit more. Yunk. It looks like it could physically eat the other two destroyers. It's really long. If I show that next to, what can I show you next to a German early light cruiser? It's almost the length of a light cruiser. Anyway, I'm getting off track. This is the Grom, one of the Russian destroyers. Printed off fairly easily. No real problems. That weren't my own creation. Now, I have blue tack on these bases just so I can show them off, and I'm not holding the ship by its by the hull or something, just to show you. This is the Grom. That's one of them. This is the, oh my god, what's this? This is the Avtriol. Another really long. Look at all the guns and torpedoes. Like the Russians, I guess because they couldn't afford that many capital ships, they put a lot of work and effort into their destroyers. So there's that one. You can see it's even a little bit longer than the Grom. And this is the third type of destroyer. This is the, oh my god, the Fidosny. The destroyer. More typical looking destroyer. Looks like a lot like an Acasta class. And it's probably the smallest. Now there is one more destroyer in the pack called the Novik, but I don't have that here to show you. I don't know where it went. The cat probably took it. I'll just blame him. Now, that is the Russian destroyers. So we've seen the Slava and 3 of the destroyers. Let's get in here. I'm not a professional, by the way, so that's why these all look so poor. I just want to go back out here a second, and I want to show off some STL files that I printed off. This is the Bayan in its STL basic form, not primed, not nothing, just printed off fresh from the printer today. That's the Bayan, and this is it in its printed form, or painted form. What am I talking about? In its painted form. It's really, really nice. There you go, the Bayan. And one thing I love about the Russians, you'll see a few of their light cruisers or armored cruisers have a spectacular amount of smokestacks on them. So there's that one. This is the Pallada in its STL printed form. Tons of little guns all over this. A really unique design on the back here with the 3 guns and 1 gun forward. It looks like a porcupine kind of. That's the Pallada in its printed form. And here is it in its painted form. Now, again, very basic paint job just to show you what you can achieve in a quick time. You can put way more detail in this if you want. I just did this to get it on the table. Test it out. That's the Pallada. So We've seen those two. And if I show those next to a British cruiser, this is the, was this a Monmouth? You see, they're very similar, but the Russians just decided, you know what, more guns. The Russians seem like the orcs of the 40k universe. Strap more guns on that thing. This is the Askold, a very unique looking ship. I love this ship. Just all the smokestacks, just hilarious. Look at all the detail they put on this little. This, I think this is a protected cruiser. I can't remember. It's not a fully armored cruiser anyway. They put a lot of detail on this ship. Nice clean lines, very clean to print, no problems. Little funnels and stacks there. That is the printed version, and here is the painted version of this. The Askold. Another nice ship. Very, very happy with these cruisers. We're going to go to the last one, and this is one that is probably the last easy ship to say. The Bogatyr. This is an armored cruiser, I think. Maybe it's a protected cruiser. Can't remember. Anyway, this is it here. You'll see the front of the ship with the double turret in the front, and then just like the porcupine guns along the side. They've crammed in detail wherever they could, of a lot less open space like there would be on the, for instance, the Monmouth. So you can see an early version of what they've done versus, oh, sorry, my cat just hit the thing. The Monmouth has a lot of empty space, but the Bogatyr does not. So it is really nice. And it's not any harder to paint, by the way. So there's him in the STL file form. And here is him in the painted form. Really comes alive when you put some dry brushing and gray on there. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can get some string and put the string across down here. You put the little Russian flag sticking up, the naval ensign sticking up out of there if you want. There's lots of stuff that you can do. This is just to show you what you can achieve in a very short space of time, and the kind of value that you're getting in this in this game. So there's the 4 Russian cruisers. I'll just get them out of the way. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what is coming. Next, we'll do we'll do a pre-dreadnought. Which one we'll do? We'll do this one here first. Now, I don't have the STL file of this, and I'm really going to struggle to pronounce this name. Okay. The Eva Staffy? The Eva Staffy? Oh, God, cringe. But look at this ship. Look at this. This is really neat. This is a pre-dreadnought. Has characteristic like 2 main turrets, humongous guns, lots of little guns. Now, sorry about the glare there. My light's behind me, and these laminated counters kind of reflect the light back at the camera. But I mean, it's beautiful in its ugliness. That's it. Eva Staffy, I think. The next one I want to show you is, oh boy, what's this one called? Another pre-dreadnought. The Andrei Pervozani. Oh my God. Anyway, here's another pre-dreadnought. Now look at this one. This is really cool ship. I don't know why the rear gun set so far back on the ship. Just looks really cool. It's got some secondary batteries there, 2 primary batteries, lots of tertiary batteries. It's a really cool looking ship, lots of guns, lots of Russian. If I compare this to, I guess we'll compare it to, I guess this one here, the Agamemnon. Very similar in layout. 2 primary guns, secondary guns, tertiary guns. You can see all the ships kind of have a similar aesthetic. Once the British build one ship, all the rest of the world, they kind of catch up. So there's that one. The next one will be this one here, some of the big guns. This one here is called the Imperista Maria. Now this is a hell of a ship with these massive centerline guns on it. So it's 12 guns, all centerline, in this weird, tiny superstructure ship. Very unique, very, very Russian. And here is the ship, the Imperista Maria, painted. You know, you have the anti-torpedo netting, those little spokes across the side there. Again, it's only blue tacked on there, so that's why it kind of bounces off. You know, they've learned a lot. There's a lot of detail on the decking. Again, this isn't official colors for the Russian Navy. I have no idea what colors they would have been. This is just to make them look different on the table towards my next one. So there's that one. Then you have the next type of weird ship that looks very similar, and this is the the Gangut. Gagengunt. Another one sits a little lower in the water. Look at all the deck detail there. This is the STL file printed off. These two printed off side by side on my build plate. No problem. First time, every time. This is the painted version of that. Very basic. A light gray automotive primer sealer down first. A dulled down, reduced down, non-oil wash all over. Dry brushed with the same gray, similar gray. Dry brushed again with a little lighter gray. And then a flat brown decking, and then some Agrax Earth shade just over top of the details on the deck, some black on the funnel tips, and it was done. This ship was done in about 20 minutes after it came in from drying from the primer. So this is the oh my god, this is the Gangut. I have no idea. And these two styles of ships are very similar looking. Next, what's next? Next we have, I guess last to show you, I have the armored cruiser, the Rurik. Now this is the only one, I think the only one that the Russians have in their system is the Rurik, I think it's called. It would be very similar to the Blucher. If I have the Blucher out here, I might be able to show you, but I don't. I have the Gneisenau. The German Gneisenau. It's probably not a direct comparison, but there's the Gneisenau, and here is the Russian Rurik. When I see it, I keep thinking early battle cruiser, but it's technically I think an armored cruiser. Maybe I might be wrong, but it might be. It looks to me like an early style of battle cruiser that's extremely undergunned. But it's a beautiful ship. It has the lines, the nice lines that you like on battle cruisers. If I could show one here. Here is a German, the Seydlitz. And here is the Rurik next to it. Obviously not the same style, but you can see what I'm pointing at. It's really nice. It's a really nice sculpt or file. And that's basically it for what I have to show you. And I'll just be back in a second once I tidy up the desk here, and I'll put them in a little bit of order. Okay, and there we're back with what I have to show you from the Russian fleet from the upcoming Kickstarter, I think any second now, any day now, for the Broadside Empires Steel game. I know this video went on a little long, and I kind of unscripted, a little rambly, but I can't say enough good things about this game, and I'm not being paid by them or anything of the sort. They just sent me some files and said, hey, can you check them out, see if they print right. They printed, I kept them, I painted them, and I'm showing them off. Really great stuff. I have to say I'm really impressed. This is just not, I think, again, I'm not included in the Kickstarter, so I have no idea what's coming out for it, but I from what I've seen and heard, is it's not just the Russians. You get some German ships, you get some Royal Navy ships. I think you get tokens and markers that they 3D printing. You get, I think, submarines maybe, blimps, zeppelins. I don't know what they have planned, but I know it's not just this, and it's several other things. And I urge you to check it out when it comes up. Now, when it does launch, I'll put a link into the description of this video of where to check it out. I don't know how long it's going to run for or anything like that. I just know that it's I'm really interested in it. I'm going to back it, even though I have the Russians. I don't have anything else, and I really just want to support a small gaming company who make a great game. Before I log off here, before I sign off here, I want to show you a sample of one of the ships, the iconic ship, the main ship that started off the Dreadnought era, and that is the Dreadnought. Now, this is one of the ships that they sent me to check out. I don't have the little card. I just have the ship. This is the Dreadnought printed off. It compares relatively to, I guess, like a Colossus. If I bring the Colossus in here from the previous Kickstarter, you can see obviously the similarities. The gun layout's a little different, but the Dreadnought, I think, is included in this Kickstarter coming up, and she is a beauty. A really iconic ship. Only one in the class, but still, I'm happy to have it. The other thing is that there is a new German light cruiser coming out as well. I just printed it off here, give it a quick paint job. This is the Karlsruhe. Hopefully this is in focus or not, but it's another German cruiser that's missing from the previous Kickstarters, and it is coming out in this one. So that's that. Put him there. Put the Dreadnought there. And there we have it. That's my preview of the upcoming Broadside Empire Steel Kickstarter. I think number 3, maybe number 2. I don't know. Anyway, it's the Russians.